Okay, folks, it's the day before. We're going to do the engine swap in the Mustang, and I realized I should probably go over some of the things that I've learned over the years have made this stuff go way smoother than just diving into it for your first time. So maybe this will be some good advice for you. Do everything that you can before you get to the point when you're going to take the car off the road or take up your garage or use the space. Usually you only have so much time to do something. So I got a box here that says all of the small parts in it of stuff that we're going to need to do this. I always do this. I organize things in a way that I know where it is. So if I need something when I'm doing a swap or I'm doing a big job, I keep it here. Things like fuel lines, I've pre-made up some of the ends of things just to make it efficient and quick, right? I've got everything readily accessible in one place. I got harness material. I got spare intake gaskets, even though I'm probably not going to need them in case I got to take the intake off. I've got vacuum hose, silicone vacuum hose. I'm going to be running the BK R5E plugs in it since I can use 14 millimeter plugs in this. Have all your gaskets ready. Now I ordered an extra one because I always have extra gaskets. This is a water outlet gasket. I got spare oil filters. I've got the entire setup for the EFI. That's what this is. This is the HP ECU and all the wiring. I think I probably mentioned that before. So I've got all that stuff there. Do everything that you can on the motor that you need to as well to prep it to go in. This is mainly fit up, but I'm going to take the intake back off of here. Not the intake, but the elbow. It's just sitting on there right now just to see how everything was going to fit up. That'll come off. But any of these hard things to do that you can do beforehand when it's not in the car, I put these P-clips on here to hold the fuel line. I got the valve cover situation all figured out. I think my last video, I probably talked about how I had some fitment issues I had to figure out with that. So pre-fit everything that you can. A thermostat housing for these things is $8. It was easier to buy a new one and put a thermostat in it and have it ready to go than go swap it out, wait for the sealant to dry and stuff. It's $8, folks. It's not $80. So that's ready to go. The water pump, that was already on there. Jeff did that. I know I'm going to have to change this bracket because this is not going to work with the header, but that's okay. It's a placeholder for right now. I know I'm going to have to put that in when it's in the car. I need the fitting off of the car that's in there now. Right here is where the power steering pump bolts to. There's 2 bolts that have to come out of here for that as well. There's a timing marker that extends for the balancer that's for my dual groove balancer. So there's a lot of stuff I know I'm going to have to go back and do once it's in there. We'll do it when we get the other motor out. So have the engine ready, okay? The car. The best place to put the hood when you're talking about a hard top is put the hood on the hard top. So have moving blankets ready. Here's a good place to put parts. You can always set them on the back of the car. Put them here, okay? Because the first thing we're going to do is take the hood off. Some people do it with the hood on. We're not going to be doing that. It's a lot easier to do it with it off. And especially since we're just doing the motor, you're not going to have the angle getting it in there to do it with the trans hanging off the back, okay? Tables. I have tables ready. If you have, these are cheap on Amazon. I've had these obviously for a number of years. I use them for everything in the garage. You can lay out your parts. You can lay out your tools. That way you know where everything is. Don't set stuff on the floor. I see beginners do that all the time. There's bolts and nuts and sockets and everything rolling all over the place. Put a blanket on one of them. It keeps the stuff from rolling away. Okay? Now, we're also going to have the added benefit of live streaming this. And so when we do that, I'm going to have computer equipment and cameras and all kinds of stuff set up in here, lighting. So that's part of the other reason to have tables available, but at least have one of these, okay? Have your floor jack ready. If you're not doing the trans like I'm not, the trans is staying in the car, you're going to need that floor jack underneath the car to hold the trans up. You got to support the transmission. You can't do it with it flopping around. Tools. I finally bought myself a gift. I've got tons of air ratchets and air impacts, but I finally got a 3/8 impact. I have a 1/4 inch one already. It's not quite powerful enough. This one does like 400 foot-pounds, so it's pretty robust. I went with the Makita because all of my stuff is Makita, and that makes the batteries easy. So this speeds things up amazingly. Use impacts to take stuff apart. Don't use it to torque stuff down. if you're skilled and you know how to do it right, you can absolutely do it. But I recently just saved a neighbor of mine who thought it would be a good idea to use the impact to drive in a subframe bolt on their car, and it didn't work out so well for them. They stripped out the bolt and the frame, and I had to go do some surgery to help them fix it. So be aware of what you're using. Less dangerous to use is an electric ratchet. This is super handy. This is a little 12-volt one from Milwaukee that I've got. I got a couple extra batteries for it. This thing is freaking amazing, okay? This is a lifesaver. And you can't do too much damage with it because it doesn't produce a lot of torque. So it's a little bit safer than an impact. Have torque wrenches. When you put stuff back together, you should be using a torque wrench. If somebody says you don't need a torque wrench, they're lying to you. You should always have a torque wrench when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So lastly, leave yourself some space, okay? I've got it offset because I need to be able to get back into my shop, but I got enough space over here to maneuver. I got enough space over here to maneuver. We have to have a place to set the engine down when we're done, so we're leaving some space over here. Okay? Think about these things. If you and put it in a way where if you can't get it running the first night, that you can, shove it back in a garage or have it in a driveway or someplace where it's not going to bother anybody. So, just keep plenty of space. Have your jack stands in case you need to jack the car up, although we shouldn't for this. But, just having equipment and tools is very important. I'm helping somebody out right now who's doing a cam and head swap on his car. And, it's funny, I'm helping him through text mostly, and he's never done it before. And it's real interesting, just hey, you need to use this tool to do that, and he doesn't have that tool, he's got to go out and buy it. And I have forgotten over the years how valuable it is having tools. Obviously I've got my tool chest and entire garage full of spare parts and tools and whatnots and doodads and hoobie whatsits and gajinguses. So, it's my messy, disastrous collection, but having this stuff available is detrimental to being able to do a job. So, the right tools to do a right job. That's always a rule. So anyways, that's it. Just a quick one. So tomorrow we'll be live, 10 a.m. We'll be doing a live stream, and it's going to be an engine swap. It's going to be a good time. John's on a plane right now. He's on his way. I got to go pick him up. We're going to take the blue truck and fetch him, and it should be a good time. We'll swap this motor out probably like 4 hours. The EFI, because of all the terminations and wiring and attention to detail, and especially the fact that John's going to be here, Mr. Wiring himself, is going to take some time. But I anticipate that we could probably wrap this up tomorrow night. But it's hard to say. You never know what's going to get in your way, and we're certainly not going to rush it. So we'll see you folks tomorrow at 10 o'clock.